Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something, well, a bit strange about us humans. Why do we sometimes choose to feel sad? Specifically, we're looking at the paradox of pleasurable sadness. You know, when you're feeling low and you deliberately put on that song, the one that just wrenches your heart, why invite sorrow in?
It's a great question. And honestly, it's puzzled people for ages.
Hmm.
The simple answer has always been catharsis, right? Like, it's a safe way to process feelings. But the sources we're diving into today, from aesthetics, psychology, even neuroscience, they suggest something deeper. It's less about your sadness and maybe more about connection.
Okay, connection. But we can't just dismiss the old ideas entirely, can we? Catharsis must play some role.
Oh, for sure. It holds up as a baseline. Sad music definitely gives you that safe container. You can grapple with big emotions without any real risk. And neuroscience backs up the introspection part, too. Listening to sad music activates the brain's default mode network.
Ah, the DMN,
Yeah.
the self-reflection hub, right.
Exactly. You're literally turning inward, contemplating stuff. It's your brain doing its internal monologue thing.
So that reflection piece is solid. But you mentioned a shift away from just what the listener is feeling.
Yes, precisely. The core idea in this newer research is that the real value isn't in the evocation, like how sad the music actually makes you feel. It's more about the expression of sadness within the music itself, what the music is communicating.
Okay, expression versus evocation. And there's actual data for this.
Yeah, empirical studies, some found surprisingly little correlation, sometimes none, between how sad someone reported feeling and how much they actually liked the music.
So you don't need the tears streaming down your face to appreciate it. The value isn't tied to your personal misery level.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the emotion being expressed. And this is where sad music seems different from, say, horror movies. Well, the sources point out you don't usually watch a horror film when you're already terrified,
Yeah.
right? You watch it to get scared.
Yeah.
But with sad music,
Hmm.
people often seek it out when they're already feeling down. The goal isn't always to feel sadder. Maybe it's to engage with that feeling.
Right, to have it articulated. Which leads
Mm.
us nicely into this connection idea. You said sad music is like a conversation.
Yeah, think of this analogy they use. Imagine you're on a bus and a stranger starts talking, genuinely sharing something sad, like maybe a friend passed away recently. They're expressing real sorrow.
Hmm.
You listen. It's sad, obviously, but you leave that interaction feeling something meaningful happened. You connected.
I know exactly that feeling. It's profound, even though the topic is heavy. And the research says that connection itself feels
Well,
good.
right. Even if the sadness doesn't feel good, the connection does. And it's valuable right then and there. It's not about fixing things later or some therapeutic benefit down the line.
It's instant value.
Purely for its own sake. And that explains why music works across time. You don't need a live person. It could be reading someone's old diary or listening to a composer long gone. The value is in that expressed emotion, bridging the gap, connecting your inner world to something shared, something human.
Okay, but surely not all negative feelings create connection. Complaining about, I don't know, bad traffic doesn't usually lead to deep bonding.
Huh. No, definitely not. That's a key distinction. The research separates these out. You've got your low connection emotions like annoyance, boredom, small talk stuff.
Yeah.
It often pushes people away more than it connects.
It's like complaining about your commute.
Exactly. But then you have high connection emotions, sadness, grief, maybe remorse. These express vulnerability, something deeper. And that's what seems to foster connection.
The sources had that great comparison. Kanye West being irritated about croissants versus Leonard Cohen's sort of proud resignation.
Oh, that's perfect, isn't it? You instantly feel the difference. One is just irritation. It's relatable maybe, but it doesn't really draw you in. Cohen's expression, though, that deep resignation, it speaks to something fundamental about being human, about endurance. It connects on a totally different level.
Okay, so connection is key. But here's the philosophical snag.
Mm.
If the value is connection, does that make the music just a tool, a vehicle to get to that feeling? Are we taking the music out of the music?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The classic aesthetic objection. And the researchers tackled it directly. They wanted to show connection isn't just a side effect, it's a distinctively musical achievement. Their argument hinges on this idea. Ordinary listeners like you and me, we actually distinguish between music that's just technically good and music that really captures what music is all about, its core characteristic value.
Right, and they tested this with some clever studies. Study 1 used descriptions of fictional music, varying the technical skill, the proficiency, and the emotional depth, the expressiveness. What came out?
Well, proficiency being technically good strongly influenced whether people called it good music. No surprise there. But here's the kicker. Emotionality, how well it expressed complex feelings, had a bigger impact on whether people felt it embodied what music is all about.
Hold on. So a song could be technically kind of messy, like your uncle's garage band recording.
Yeah,
But if it's emotionally raw and honest, people might feel that captures the essence of music more than something technically perfect but cold.
precisely. It suggests that expressing emotion isn't just a feature of music, it's seen as fundamental to its very nature and purpose. Think of Tolstoy calling music the shorthand of emotion. Emotional expression is a characteristic musical value.
Wow. Okay. And study 2 link this directly back to the conversation analogy.
It nailed it. They look at like 70-something different emotions and ask people 2 things for each one.
When this emotion is expressed in conversation, how much connection do you feel? Second, when it's expressed in music, how much does it embody what music is all about?
And the results.
Almost a perfect overlap. The emotions that create the strongest feelings of connection and conversation are the exact same ones that people feel most strongly embody the characteristic value of music. Sadness, compassion, love.
So connection isn't just a nice bonus you get from listening. It's a core musical value. It's what music at its best achieves.
It seems to be, yes, a distinctively musical achievement.
But does everyone experience this? I mean, some people actively avoid sad music. So personality must play a role, right? If connection is the payoff, who gets it?
Absolutely. This takes us straight to empathy. It's not just one thing either. Studies show that people who really enjoy sad music tend to have a specific pattern of empathy traits.
Okay, what's the recipe? What defines the sad music aficionado?
3 main things seem key. First, high empathic concern. That's basically compassion, feeling sympathy for others. I feel sympathy for you.
Got it. Sympathy. What else?
Second, high fantasy. This is about imaginative absorption, being able really to step into the story or the feeling the music portrays.
So you can get lost in it. Exactly. But the third one is crucial. They tend to have only nominal personal distress. They don't heavily mirror the negative feeling themselves. So they feel for the sadness, but they don't necessarily feel the full weight of the sadness itself. They keep a little distance.
Precisely. They feel the compassion strongly, but they aren't overwhelmed by actually feeling the pain.
Which ties into that pleasurable compassion theory, right? Why would compassion feel good?
Well, from an evolutionary standpoint, compassion is adaptive, helping others, feeling for them. It builds bonds, reputation, helps the group survive. So the argument is evolution made the feeling of compassion itself rewarding. Think about brain scans. When people do charitable acts, the pleasure centers light up. Compassion feels inherently good. It's biologically reinforced.
And art. Art gives us a shortcut.
Kind of, yeah. With art, especially tragedy or sad music, you get to experience that rewarding feeling of compassion, of pity, but without any actual obligation to do anything.
No need to rush in and help.
Exactly. There's no cost, no inconvenience, no guilt about inaction. The sources call it cost-free compassion. That's likely why fictional sadness can be more enjoyable than real-world tragedies hitting close.
That makes a lot of sense. But hang on, if compassion is the positive driver, why do people usually say they feel sad when listening? Sadness is the emotion they name.
That's because sadness is often the most salient, contagious emotion being expressed. You pick up on it, you might even mirror it slightly. But the research suggests this felt sadness often contributes to enjoyment by intensifying a different feeling, the feeling of being moved.
Being moved. Okay. Is that different from just sad?
It's seen as a mixed emotion, but predominantly positive. It's strongly linked to compassion and pro-social feelings. So you might consciously register the sadness because it's the obvious signal, but it triggers this deeper, more positive, repercussive emotion, the compassion, which gives a rewarding feeling, even if it's less conscious.
Wow, okay. So the sadness is the doorway, but the reward is the compassion it evokes. Fascinating. How does this apply to mood regulation? If someone's actually depressed, choosing sad music still seems odd. It is complex. But studies do show people with depression often prefer sad music more. But here's the twist. When asked why, they often don't say to feel sadder.
They often report choosing it because it's relaxing. Sad music frequently has lower energy, it's less aroused, so it can actually help regulate mood by lowering that overall emotional intensity, providing a kind of calm, emotional space.
So it's less about matching the sadness and more about matching the energy level, bringing things down gently.
That seems to be a major function, yes. Mood regulation through lowered arousal.
And just to round out the connection piece, this isn't only about sadness, right? This characteristic musical value applies more broadly.
Oh, absolutely. Remember those studies? Emotions like love, compassion, inspiration, they actually scored higher on embodying what music is all about than sadness did.
So uplifting, loving music uses the same connective pathway.
It seems so. It suggests that the core value is expressing these deep, connective human emotions, whether they're sorrowful or joyful or loving. Sadness is just one powerful flavor of that connection, particularly relevant when we feel vulnerable.
Which brings us to potential applications, like in therapy.
Definitely. This model offers therapists a useful perspective. If sad music is good for emotional processing, connection, and lowering arousal, then using carefully chosen, pleasurable sad pieces could be really helpful, especially maybe for conditions like depression, where experiencing pleasure can be difficult. Sad music might offer a gentler way in, helping patients cope with negative feelings and practice that feeling of connection through the music itself.
It's a less jarring entry point than trying to force happiness immediately.
Exactly. Okay, so let's recap. We started with this puzzle. Why seek out sorrow in music? And we found the answer isn't really about enjoying sadness itself. It's more that the music's expression of complex connective emotions like sadness, but also love and compassion, is felt to be a core part, a characteristic value of what music is. And engaging with that expression, particularly sadness, triggers this rewarding feeling of cost-free compassion.
So that heart-wrenching song you love, its real value might be acting like a conversation across time. It connects you to something deeply human, whether you're using it to gently regulate your mood or to fuel that spark of empathy.
Which leaves us with a final thought, perhaps a challenge to how we usually think about music.
Go on.
If the deepest, most characteristic value of music lies in this capacity for emotional expression and connection, does a piece have to be technically brilliant, good music in the traditional sense to hold real musical value?
You mean like that uncle's grunge band again? Maybe. It pushes you, the listener, to think. Is there music you've dismissed because it's not polished, not proficient, but it absolutely nails emotional honesty? It suggests the heart of music might be less about perfect virtuosity and more about profound vulnerability.